So what are 4 areas? And it affects everyone in here, even in your position and in your job. These 4 things have to be in place for you to feel fulfilled and happy at your work. Number 1, purpose and meaning. Purpose and meaning is everything. Now let me point this distinction out. When I work with a transit organization, drive buses or whatever, I get up and I tell those bus drivers, you're not in the transportation business. They always look at me like, what are you talking about? I say, no, you're in the business of connecting families. That's the real business you're in, connecting friends and families. When I work with a power company, I stand up and I say, you know what? You're not in the power business. They look at me like, what? I said, no, you're in the business of bringing warmth and peace into people's homes. If you've ever been without power for 3 days, let me tell you something. You know that those linemen that are out there working on the power at 2 o'clock in the morning, in a very real sense, and I don't say this lightly, I'm very careful about this, but they in a sense are saviors in that moment. Because when you're at your wit's end and you're frustrated and you can't flush that toilet or whatever else because you haven't had power for 3 days, and they come and provide that power, that's powerful. So when I speak to power companies, I remind them of their bigger purpose. You know, Howard Schultz of Starbucks said that the success of his business had nothing to do with coffee. What? Had nothing to do with coffee. He says it had to do with creating positive experiences for people and building the community. I would suggest to you that you go back to your organizations, and it takes a little bit of work and effort, but figure out for yourself, what is the real business that we're in? And if someone can catch the vision of what it means to really know why they do what they do and be thankful for it, it's an awesome principle just to have gratitude towards something. Ryan, you work at the DMV and you catch that vision, you'll treat your customers totally different. When someone has a sense of meaning and purpose for what they do, and they can connect their energy with it, themselves with that purpose, you will have a powerful force to work with. Number 2, it's vital that you have a sense of progress. A sense of progress. What do I mean by that? If people aren't growing, if they're not pushed to use more of their potential, even though sometimes it's uncomfortable, right? Because it takes you out of your comfort zone. But for people to feel happy, they have to feel like they're making progress, that they're contributing, that they're playing a role in the bigger picture here. So if you feel like you're coasting at work, figure out a way to grow. Figure out something additional that you can do. Okay? And all of a sudden, you'll start catching a fire for something that's a little bit different. If you have someone on your team that you know is underperforming, one thing you could do is give them a different responsibility to do something a little bit different maybe. And all of a sudden, you'll light fire under them. Now, here's an interesting experience I had just 2 weeks ago in Utah. I was speaking at a financial institution. And as I was there, I talked about this lady was sitting close to where I was, and we were doing more of an interaction type speech. And I said, you know, I just noticed when I walked in this morning that you were amazing. I said, you're the front assistant in the lobby area, and that is awesome. And I said in the middle, I was just going off impressions. I said, that is amazing. You do an awesome job. It was noticeable. So she smiled, and she was nice. When we did her debrief afterwards, one of the leaders of the organization said, I just want to say, TJ, that was really insightful for you to say that. Because recently, we pulled her from one of the back rooms and put her up at the front office area, and she saw that as a demotion. What do you mean? I'm not smart enough to do a real job back in the back? And she said, we had to spend some time with her to let her know. No, the reason we're putting you up front is because you're the best. We want you. You're the window to our organization. You're the first person that people meet, and that's what we need up there. And she said, all of a sudden, she got excited about that role. Sometimes we get caught up in roles and so forth. And she said, it was just awesome that you brought that up because that just confirmed what we had been telling her. Attitude really is everything, and I notice it. So figure out where you can create more progress with the people that you have on your teams. Number 3 is collaboration. One challenge inside organizations is they do not share information freely. Thriving organizations, however, I will tell you, share all the information. All that they can, and maybe even a little bit more. When things aren't working, they get the whole team involved and they tell them exactly where they're at. I was in a team, organization down in Arkansas recently where I met individually with a bunch of the executives and said, if we don't change things around here, and they're a publicly traded company, if we don't change things around here, TJ, we probably won't even exist in 5 years. Okay? All right, let's get all the information out then. Let's let the employees know exactly what's going on and what we need to change. So we brought a group of 30 change agents together and shared the raw data with them. And for the last few months, we've been working on them, and that organization's culture is beginning to change because people are involved. Your greatest ideas inside your companies aren't at the top in the ivory towers. The change that can happen is from your frontline workers who are closest to the fire, closest to the field, on the ground. You go to them and you say, we want your idea. Wow, that's powerful. The last one that's very important is autonomy. Autonomy means this. It means that once you train people, once you give them the tools, then you back away and you trust them to get the job done. Maybe not your way, but you trust them to get it done. Back up and let them figure out how to do it on their own, and be okay when mistakes happen. Now, if they happen over and over and over, that's a different thing. But hopefully your cultures, wherever you work, understand that people make mistakes and be okay with it. For the short term, be okay with it. All right. Now let's get into some other principles here as I'm going to walk you through methodically.